these guys have won enough games. We're talking about the New England Patriots. 12-4 last season. Their roster was completely overhauled this offseason. I mean, it's completely different. It's going to be very interesting seeing what the heck they do without Tom Brady for the first time in my entire lifetime. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, they had the one weird year where he was injured, but I wasn't even watching football consistently at that point. So, yeah, he is all I know for the New England Patriots. And as a Bills fan, it's kind of nice to see him gone. Hopefully Cam Newton doesn't absolutely just have an MVP season and make this team go like 15-1 or something ridiculous. But I don't think he'll do that. So Cam Newton's the starting quarterback. I think what you got to talk about here is the fact that they're gonna try to tailor a system kind of to him, but still I don't see them completely overhauling the system entirely. And I think if they try to keep the short passing game with Cam, he may get kind of frustrated throwing just basically slants and hitches, out routes, drags, anything to that effect. I don't know if he'll be as disciplined as Brady to just take something as simple as that if the defense is giving it to him. I think he may get a little more aggressive, and I think that would hurt them. Otherwise, I think if you could get Cam to play exactly like Brady, he is younger, he's probably got more arm strength, and you're probably looking pretty good. And then the other concern with Cam is the fact that last year he was hurt when he played his first 2 games of the season, but I can tell you from watching them, I've seen quarterbacks play poorly. Like, I watched the Nathan Peterman game with 5 interceptions in one half. Now, the thing about that is Peterman was still putting the ball on target. The Chargers defensive backs were just making exceptional plays. And not even exceptional plays. It was bad reads, but he was throwing the ball on target. I mean, Cam Newton, I think, was like 45% completion percentage against the Buccaneers last season in week 2 or something like that. That's purely off memory, so that could be completely inaccurate. But I remember watching it and just being like, dude, he can't hit a guy to save his life. And I don't mean like he's putting the ball like a little too far out in front or behind the receiver. I mean like he throws a ball to the sideline and it's 12 feet over the receiver's head. Like there's not even a chance that the receiver could make a crazy catch because it's just so far off target. So I don't want to say excited because I don't want this team to be good as a Bills fan, but I'm very interested to see what they do with him and how competitive he'll make them this season, because he really is a huge key to the success this year. Then running backs, you've obviously got the all sorts of Bill Belichick mix of RBs here with Sony Michel, James White, and Rex Burkhead, all in the backfield. Any of them could be a threat in all their variety of ways, so I think the running back position is something that they don't really need to look at. Wide receivers, a little more interesting. Julian Edelman's getting pretty old now, and he's probably the best receiver on the team, if that tells you anything. So, depending on how you feel about him, that's okay. They just cut Mohamed Sanu, which I could not believe. And N'Keal Harry was a first-round draft pick last year, but probably shouldn't have been, and I couldn't really believe that they picked him then. I didn't like that pick at all, and I still don't like that pick. I don't think he'll help them too much on the offensive side of the ball, honestly. Jacoby Myers was like either a very late-round pick last year or a free agent out after the draft because he was undrafted. And I actually probably have more faith in him becoming a pretty talented receiver than N'Keal Harry. I could be completely wrong on that because who knows. Other guys to mention, Gunnar Olszewski, Matthew Slater, actually both very important to the special teams of this team. Probably not going to do much on offense. Demir Byrd is starting for these guys. I think, I don't know where, because I would think Edelman would be in the slot. So we're saying N'Keal Harry's on the outside and Demir Byrd's also on the outside, and then Edelman's in the slot. Seems like a kind of lackluster group of receivers. Marquise Lee also out. He's not playing. He's hurt. Not sure with what, but he won't be in at least in week 1. So that's notable. I'm just really interested to see where these guys goes. They have like no tight ends that I would trust. Ryan Izzo is the number one. Devin Asiasi is the number two. Dalton Keene, Matt Lacoste. None of these guys are. Matt Lacoste may actually be the long snapper because I feel like I recognize that name. But there's no threat at the tight end position at all. The offensive line is actually fairly decent, though. They got Isaiah Wynn, Joe Thuney, David Andrews, Shaq Mason, and Jermaine Illumineur. That right tackle spot's probably the only spot with Jermaine that is any bit sort of questionable. But yeah, I think the O-line is pretty good. It's just a little different for these guys. I think the skill positions in the wide receiver and tight end group are pretty rough. While I think the quarterback's really a question mark, the running back is probably the only skill position that you can go, yeah, they're definitely good at that spot on the offensive side, because besides that, it looks pretty tough. Now we've got the part of the team last season that made them so successful, which was the defense. And you've got some guys returning, but holy heck, there's a lot of guys that are not coming back that could make this fairly difficult. I'm just going to start in the secondary because the secondary is this part of the team that is absolutely tremendous. You've obviously got Jason McCourty starting at corner and Devin McCourty at safety, the brother tandem that is still playing at an extremely high level, both of them. Very impressed with them. Stephon Gilmore, one of the best rated corners in the league. I think he's definitely a top-tier cornerback. Can't argue that. I just can't believe how many people say that he is just like the best corner they've ever seen, and he's the best in the game at this time. I just can't agree with that, as even he was on the Buffalo Bills at one point, and I can't agree with that. And that's not like a hatred thing, because he left us for New England, because definitely seen other players do that before, but it's just I don't think like he's a 99 overall in Madden. Yeah, I don't think he's that talented. I think you can make the argument that he's a very good corner, because he is a very good corner, but he's not that great. But I mean, just getting over that topic, we can talk about J.C. Jackson and Jonathan Jones, also cornerbacks on this team. These guys, if the other team lines up, if they play Arizona this year, they'll match up extremely well, because they can get a dime package on the field, and holy crap, all four of those corners I am confident in playing well. And then even at safeties, at the safety position, I talked about Devin McCourty already, but they've got a guy by the name of Terrence Brooks playing the other safety position, and I don't know him well at all, but Justin Bethel and Adrian Phillips, Cody Davis, and Kyle Duggar are all backup safeties on this team, which means that Terrence Brooks must be doing something well to earn the starting the starting safety spot over those guys. The secondary on this team is exceptional. I can't argue that whatsoever. But the defensive front, in the front seven, is really where they lost a lot of talent. Their starters are now Dietrich Wise Jr., Lawrence Guy, Adam Butler, John Simon, Shalik Calhoun, Jawan Bentley, and Brandon Copeland. Almost none of those guys, except for maybe Lawrence Guy, is anybody John Simon, names that are very recognizable for more than a few years, and even the other guys that are sort of like, oh, I know who he is, Dietrich Wise, like not too confident in. That defensive front's pretty weak. Starting kicker is Nick Folk, and the punter is Jake Bailey. I just think this defense could probably get ran on pretty easily. Face a team like the Niners or the Ravens, they're probably going to run all over them. And I wouldn't even try to pass the ball, because you look at this secondary and it's like, oh, yeah, no thank you. I mean, run the ball every single play of the game. Then you look at the offense, and really with how the passing game looks for them and all the question marks that I see with Cam Newton, I'm kind of thinking that they're going to be a run-heavy team on offense too. It's just that the one thing I have to say about Cam Newton is, in this prediction, I talked about the fact that he looked absolutely terrible at the beginning of last year. He's healed now. I'm going to say I'm going to say my prediction is basing this off of if Cam Newton is 75% of his MVP form. His MVP form, he's somehow 75% of that. That's how I'm going to basically base this prediction off of, because you're really guessing with these guys. It's a huge guess when it comes to these guys' records, because I mean, you for sure got one of the best coaches in history with Bill Belichick, but there's a lot of question marks with everything that just went out the window this season. So in the division, they've got my Buffalo Bills twice, Miami twice, New York twice. I'm pretty sure I gave the Jets a 2-4 record inside of the division. I think I gave the Dolphins a 3-3 record inside of the division. So I mean, just following that logic, I think these guys are probably I think they're gonna be one of those two records. Just because the Dolphins are always able to steal a game from them, and I think my Bills are better than them. So I want to give them 2 L's to Buffalo, an L against Miami, but versus the Jets, for some reason I'm just feeling that they're still going to have the Jets number. So I think I'm going to predict them to go 3-3 inside of the division. And now that I'm saying this math is not going to make any sense. The Jets, if I actually wanted to go through and not do every team individually and do record predictions for all these teams combined together, literally factoring in and picking every individual game, I'd probably have to even lower the Jets win total from what I had it at. But I'll predict them to go like 3-3 inside of the division, lose 2 to Buffalo and potentially lose 1 to Miami, or maybe somehow the fluke game is against the Jets this year. And 3-3 in the division. Now they were the first place team in the AFC East, which means their extra opponents they have to play this year are Baltimore and who's the extra one for the away? We play the NFC West and we play the AFC West, so the extra team is the Houston Texans. So those are the two extra games that every team gets a year for the same place finishers. Those are tough as the first place team in this division. Let's talk about the home non-divisional opponents. So already said 3-3 at this point. They're going to have to play Denver, Oakland, Arizona, San Francisco, and Baltimore at home. I think you can say Baltimore and San Francisco. I talked about them being able to run all over this Patriots defense. I think they will be able to. I think there's 2 L's there. So then I think Arizona, Oakland, and Denver. This Patriots team, see, their roster talent is so weak, but they've got Bill Belichick, so I'm really probably leaning towards giving them the majority of these games, but I think they'll drop one of them. I'm just not sure which one. So within Denver, Oakland, and Arizona, they'll probably drop one. I mean, probably not Oakland. I'm saying Oakland and it's Las Vegas. I'm sorry, the thing I'm looking at is Oakland on here, but I'm talking about the Las Vegas Raiders. My bad. But I think they'll beat Las Vegas, and then Denver and Arizona will probably split those games. So I'd say they get 2 wins at home against non-divisional opponents. And now let's move on to the away non-divisional opponents, who are the Kansas City Chiefs. I can say that's probably a loss. Seattle Seahawks, that's probably a loss going there. Los Angeles Rams, that's probably a loss going there. And Houston Texans is also probably a loss headed there. Had the game from Thursday night where the Texans got beat kind of handedly by the Chiefs, but I mean the Texans are a good team, and it's just that Kansas City is such an amazing team that it makes it really hard for the Texans to look good, but I think the Texans will still handle the Patriots. I think the only game they have here on the road that is winnable, honestly, is this Chargers game. Besides that, I think, like I said, Kansas City's the L, Seattle's an L, LA Rams an L, and Houston Texans are probably a loss too. So looking at that means that I only picked them to beat 6 teams, I'm pretty sure, which does not sound good to me. And it feels very weird to say the Patriots are going to go 6-10 this season, especially when today is the day that the season gets underway and I'll actually be able to see what they look like. But wow, I do not know what Belichick's plan is. They had so many opt-outs. This team, the roster is just not very talented at all. I mean, even looking at teams like Miami and New York within the division, just looking at the rosters, both those rosters are better than the Patriots. The Patriots get the advantage in coaching, but I mean, besides that, wow, it's pretty tough here. I'm just not liking what I'm seeing. And I'm just struggling to like say this because 6-10 for New England is such a weird thing to say for how long they've been so good. But I wouldn't be shocked if I think 6 wins is probably the minimum for these guys. But I mean, just looking at who's on their schedule, I'm gonna go with a 6-10 record, and really, it's just a bunch of question marks up in the air because of what the heck is going on over there in Boston. It's gonna be interesting, and that's all I can say. But my record prediction is 6-10 for the Patriots. So, if you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching.
2020 president candidate.